Hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host, Carla J. And today we have a very special guest on with us. We have Miss Aimee Takaya that is joining us. And Aimee is going to talk to us about somatic education. And Aimee has a wealth of knowledge about this. Aimee has her own accolades and her own story to tell. But before we get into that, I would like to invite you all to please like and subscribe to my channel. And you can get the notifications whenever I am going live. So, as you know, I'm Carla J. I am your virtual host. I am a birth doula, registered nurse, and certified CPR instructor and life coach. So, if you're wanting anything, any life lessons, education, consulting, just hit me up in a private message or at info@hearttoheartdoulas.com, and I'll put it in the notes when we are done. So, Aimee, welcome to the show. So nice to have you.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, really wonderful to meet you.
Oh, and I love your headphones. They are so gorgeous. I love that they're popping.
Thanks.
So, before we get into it and learn all about your business, please just give us a little bit about yourself, some of your hobbies, and where we can find you on social media.
Yeah, well, I've always loved traveling. I'd loved traveling from a very young age. And in my 20s, I got to travel the world. So I've been to a lot of different countries. I love exploring new places, new cultures, different ways of living and experiencing life. So that's definitely a pretty big hobby for me. I also love cooking. I'm
Ah,
pretty good at like making something out of nothing in terms of just, putting some things together creatively and coming up with something tasty in the kitchen. So,
oh.
love to do that, especially working with plant-based cuisines, lots of fruits and vegetables,
Are
right?
you a vegetarian?
I have been vegetarian and vegan most of my adult life, but I'm very free with what I eat. So if I feel like eating meat, I'm going to eat meat. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But I generally am plant-based, I would say. Like I like to have a lot of fruits and vegetables in my diet. That's how my body feels best,
Oh,
right?
nice. I like that. And you say
Yeah.
you like to travel. Where is, I would say, one of your favorite places that you have traveled?
Oh, I spent like 3 or 4 months in India, which was a trip, so I really got a lot out of my time in India, but also really loved
Nice.
Norway. I spent a couple of
Nice.
summers in Norway and Sweden.
Okay.
Super beautiful. Love all of the nature there. Just blew my mind and very easy to travel around. Very, quick, easy transportation. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you for that. And without further ado, let's get into it. I know that you provide somatic education, and I am new to that term and all what it means. So, if you don't mind, just enlighten us and how this all got started for you.
Yeah, so my introduction to somatics was this modality, and since then I've discovered that there are a lot of different somatic modalities out there. For those of you who don't know what the word somatic means, it comes from this Greek word soma, which
Mhm.
means body. And sometimes when you hear people talk about somatics, they're talking about body based, right? But if you really kind of go deeper into the meaning of the word, it is so much more than that. It's your body that includes your thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, beliefs, spirit, your essence, your soul. It's basically a much more holistic word for what your body is. Your body is this vessel that contains all that is you, right?
Wow.
Including your energy field. So when we're talking about a somatic practice and anything that is somatic, it is helping you connect to your ongoing inner experience in your body as a
Wow.
source of wisdom, right? As a source of power versus a less somatic approach would be like mind over matter. Your body's just this thing that you can control and beat to a pulp to get it to do what you want and override your sensations and ignore those signals that your body's sending you to power through. And it's
Oh,
not that that's wrong. There's time and place for that. Like if we're at war, if we're a soldier, right, or if we're working
mhm.
like a very intense kind of job, we're going to
Okay.
need to override our signals
Okay.
sometimes. But how do we return to listening to our bodies, having an
Okay.
ongoing communication with our bodies. That's what somatic work is really about. It's regaining that connection to your body if you've lost it
Oh, I like that.
somewhere along the way.
I like that. And I like the word power.
Mm,
That sounds like more authoritative or control. It
yeah.
just sounds very empowering. Yes, it
Oh,
does.
totally. Like I tell people, if you like being in control, you're going to love this somatic work because it's all
Okay.
about giving you back the control of what's happening in your body and learning how to manage when things feel out of control.
Wow. Okay. So break it down for us from the beginning. If I know it's so much to break down, right? But if you can, how this all, started. I know you mentioned a little bit about it, and I know you also talked a little bit about your father in your bio.
Oh, yeah. So I got into yoga first before somatics, and I taught yoga. That's how I was traveling the world in my 20s. And my dad had introduced me to yoga. He got me into a practice of it. And I took it really seriously for many years. Um, and during that time of practicing yoga, I injured myself a lot. And I didn't realize that I was injuring myself because I had or have hypermobile joints, meaning my
Hmm.
legs kind of bent backwards and I was a little too flexible in certain directions in my body. And in
Okay.
my yoga practice, I didn't know how to protect that. And I didn't have teachers at the time that were teaching me about that, right? Were
Hmm.
teaching me how to protect that. So I injured myself a lot without realizing it and ended up in chronic pain. And I'll tell you,
Okay.
that was difficult to be a yoga teacher living in chronic pain, feeling like,
Right.
how am I supposed to help anybody with their body if I can't even help myself?
Okay. So
Right?
true. So true.
Yeah. So at the time, my dad had, introduced me to yoga, and then he discovered this form of somatic education, Hanna Somatics, and he had
Okay.
gotten trained in it. So he kept inviting me to do this gentle, tender, tiny micro movement practice. And I was like,
Hmm.
what's that? Like, that's weird and boring because I was used to doing really intense yoga, right?
Okay.
And so I was
Downward
very,
dog and all of that. I don't know.
oh, yeah, standing splits, insane
Okay.
back bends. I was into like the hardcore stuff, right?
Okay.
I was like 19 when I started. So of course you get that energy, that kind of
Yes.
intense energy of being young and you just want to go for it, right?
Right.
So, uh, finally I came around because pain has a way of making you desperate to try anything, even this
Right.
slow, gentle, boring thing that I was not interested in. I started doing it because I was in pain and
Okay.
it worked. It was very,
Wow.
very effective in the moment at turning down the pain and the tension in my
Mm.
body. Right.
Wow.
However, it took me many years to actually commit to doing this practice over the intense hardcore stuff that I was addicted to. In a way, I was addicted to the intense yoga, and
Wow.
the high that I would get from it. So it was hard for me to break away from that and move
Okay.
towards something that was a lot more subtle, a lot more
Mhm.
gentle, a lot more down regulating in my nervous system because I was used to like the high kind of, for people here who understand your nervous system, I was addicted to like the extreme experiences or the sympathetic
Okay.
experiences. A lot of us
Wow.
don't realize it, but we get addicted to our own stress, right?
Mm.
And we kind of
Wow.
manifest and create our own stress because it's what we're used to. We're used to like living up here in a certain level of activation,
Okay.
right? And so we may unconsciously seek out situations, circumstances, people that keep us in that elevated state,
Wow.
right?
That is so interesting right there. We're addicted to our own stress. I've never heard that term. Now, maybe that could mean the same like drama queen, someone that's attention seeking or always want drama. Some people may say I love action, maybe some of those types of
Something like
things.
that, totally. Yeah, or just people looking for those peak experiences. There's people
Okay.
out there going and seeking, intense, plant medicine experiences or,
Okay.
intense sports, things like
Okay.
that are going to push you into that elevated state, right?
Okay. Okay.
Um, and we may not realize that we're trying to regulate, we're trying to find a way to whatever our place of balance is, right? So
Okay.
in learning about this form of somatic education, it was an invitation to lower my
Okay.
resting level, like
Take
literally
it
the
down.
tension level in my muscles. In order to
Okay.
come out of pain, I needed to calm, calm, calm. Now, that didn't mean I still didn't get excited. I still didn't go into my fight or flight or my sympathetic nervous system, but I
Mhm.
needed to recalibrate to my normal state being lower than it had been in order for the pain to soften and go away. Basically, another way to put it is I needed to teach my body that it was safe to relax.
To relax. And that
Yeah.
sounds like it's a very conscious type of exercise to
It's
do.
very literal. It's this
Okay.
practice, it's one of the most practical somatic modalities out there,
Okay.
meaning we're working specifically with movement and we're focusing on the letting go part of the movement and the
Okay.
relaxing that happens when the movement is over.
Okay.
And
And
so
that's the
that's,
movement.
yes, and that's distinctly what Hanna Somatics does,
Hanna
right?
Somatic. And that's the
Yes.
movement. And at any time of that, and you maybe get into this, do you have to also, with the movements, like talk to your mind, or, are you also, how does that work? That combination?
Yes. So everybody's nervous system is different. And
Oh,
as a somatic educator, like the style that I was trained in, at least, I want to be open to whatever expression your nervous system has
okay.
within this framework. So I have clients who, aren't experiencing pain, but they know that they're holding memories or
Mm,
feelings in their body. They know that they're holding anger or they know that they're holding something. They can feel this like gripping or this pressure in their chest or somewhere, and they know that there must be some way to let this go, and they've been trying maybe all these different things. How do I let go? I want to let go, but I don't know how. And so
okay.
in coming to me, we literally teach your physical body how to do that, and
Mhm.
alongside that, some people experience emotional releases, right?
Okay.
Some people experience like, not like, sometimes it's like memories coming back that they didn't, repressed memories, things they remembered that they didn't know happened to them, right?
Okay.
That's a small, like that's not a lot of people that I work with that have that. More often than not, they just reprocess something that
Okay.
happened a long time ago. Maybe it was a car accident. It was something that happened, in one of their pregnancies,
Mm,
that they didn't fully
okay.
process and was holding someplace in their chest, like fear, fear of something. Right. And so there is some guidance and facilitation that I do alongside the, movement practice and the body work, which is to allow space for the person's nervous system to move through this. And,
Wow.
the things that I do are very simple. It's active listening. I might just repeat, they say something and I repeat it so they can hear themselves, right?
Okay.
So they feel that validation of like, oh, you're upset about this. You feel angry. Yes, I feel
Okay.
angry, right? Something like that. Very simple, validating their experience,
Mhm.
providing encouragement, that you're doing an amazing job feeling this emotion or whatever's coming up.
Okay.
Other people don't have emotional responses to this work.
Oh,
They just
okay.
feel more relaxed.
And
They just feel like a
because
weight's been taken off their shoulders.
as you're talking, I guess kind of like guided, you may be talking or moving, I'm not sure. Are you helping the person move their body?
Yes.
Okay, so you're helping them, and then sometimes they may feel that release. So I guess somatic education, is that synonymous? Are you like also a therapist?
I am not personally a therapist and I don't do psychotherapy. I don't treat any kind of mental condition, but a lot of my clients are therapists.
Okay.
So I work with, there's a fair amount of physicians, nurses, doctors who have hired me who
Hmm.
have issues, like I had one woman I worked with last year who had focal dystonia. She was
Okay.
also an RN. Focal dystonia is what they call a muscular condition where your hand gets frozen up. So
Okay.
she had lost use of her hand for 7 years
Oh, wow.
and
As a
had,
nurse, that must be difficult.
yeah, it was really difficult for her
Mhm.
psychologically too, because she felt impaired when basic
Okay.
things in her life. She couldn't chop vegetables anymore, so she stopped cooking,
Oh,
you
wow.
know.
Okay.
So we worked together for, I mean, she came to one of my retreats and then she did my 6-month program. And within the second month of the 6-month program, she
Mhm.
wrote legibly with her right hand for the first
Oh,
time in seven
wonderful.
years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. So you're not a therapist, but are there somatic therapists,
There
or
are,
how
but
does
they're
this
not
how does
necessarily trained in this modality. So
okay.
there's a lot of different. So one modality that's very famous that many people have heard of is called somatic experiencing. And
Okay.
that's a little bit more like a therapist is like guiding you through maybe a memory or an experience and asking you questions about where do you feel that in your body? Oh,
Okay.
what color is it? What shape is it? And you kind of give a voice to different experiences as you're scanning through your body.
Okay.
What I'm doing is very much working with the motor cortex of your brain to get your
Mm,
motor cortex to release habituated muscle patterns.
okay.
So in the case of this woman whose hand was frozen, her nervous system was sending signals to her hand to keep it
Mm-hmm.
frozen in these contractions that prevented her from doing anything. And
Okay.
in working with her whole body, because everything's connected, her hand loosened and loosened, and she regained control.
Wow. That is so awesome. I just want to help the audience to understand, the differences, the different modalities and things like that. So if they're approached or if they're seeking out or if they want to seek out the somatic education and things like that, to kind of understand the different levels of it.
Totally. Yes. And there's lots of somatic movement out there that isn't what I do. So you might see like somatic yoga and like an app for that. And that
Okay.
is, you could be going like bouncing your shoulders up and down, and that could and if you're doing that for, I don't know, like an exercise and then noticing how it feels, that could technically be like a somatic exercise, right?
Okay.
What I would have you do is consciously contract your shoulders and then really, 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 really slowly, as slow as
Mhm.
you possibly can, relax them down and wait for the moment that it feels like you're not doing that anymore. And when your shoulders feel like they totally relax, then you would rest and let them relax for a second or two.
Okay.
That's the modality that I do. It's a slow, meditative, controlled contraction and release of muscle fibers.
And whereas sometimes like in a therapy in a class or something like that, it's kind of like up for 5, down for 4, up for 5,
Yeah.
down for 4, versus really allowing your body to dictate, or being more conscious into that
Yeah.
moment.
And
Okay.
focusing on the letting go part of the
Okay.
movement.
Ah,
Rather than
okay.
focusing on the contraction, we focus on the releasing and the letting go part to train your brain to let go.
Okay.
Right.
I
So
really
it's
like that.
it's a movement therapy. It's very unheard of what I do. There's not many people that are trained in it because the guy, Thomas Hanna Somatics, he
Okay.
died during his very first training in a car accident during the
Oh,
training.
wow.
So he
Okay.
only trained 40 people in this modality.
Really?
Yeah, so it's very unusual, but it's extremely effective. And if I'm working with someone who's brand new to this, I usually do like a little, we do a little testing together. We like do a session and see how it goes, and I check in with
Okay.
them the next day, and so how's their nervous system feeling about this?
Okay.
If I
Wow.
if I'm already working with someone who's done a bunch of other kinds of release work, like they've been in talk therapy, they've done NLP and like mental, mind work, and they've been
Okay.
working on releasing limiting beliefs, and they've done all this energy stuff, right? They've already done all that. It's usually really easy to step into somatic work and get like a really quick, powerful result, right?
Wow. I
But if
like that.
someone's brand new to it, I go nice and slow,
Okay.
helping them feel comfortable. I might, if they haven't already done therapy, I might suggest, hey, this would be a really great time to see a talk therapist alongside the body work that we're doing together so that
Oh,
you have a
nice.
designated space where you can really explore what's coming up. Like I can hold that space, but it's always great to have a team if you're really wanting to make a big change, right?
Right. Okay. Like on a holistic approach, or, you know, um, that more centered, and in every space kind of have its place. I like that.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
space have its place. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that. I do see that we do have some guests on. I put in the chat if there are any questions for our guests. Please feel free to put them in the chat. And you did get a compliment, Aimee. Susanna said you look so good with your hair like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love I told Aimee that I love the headphones she has on too. Maybe it's the hairstyle that's making it pop too. I love it, love it, love it. So I also like what you talked about earlier, talking about uh, you release the trauma from your body. So, like, I know, like a lot of athletes, get a lot of injuries sometimes. And I had never even heard of that type of flexibility issue in the body, like you
Mm.
talked about, saying that,
Hypermobility.
right. I never even, really thought about that. Usually, I know most times, I know for myself, you hear things like, you're too stiff. You need to stretch your muscles. You need to, release them and open them up. I've never heard of the term of hyper fleximobility. Am I saying it right?
Right. Hypermobile. So the thing is
Hypermobile.
with hypermobility is you can be hypermobile in one area and extremely tight in another area.
Ah,
So
okay.
sometimes I might look at how someone's standing, and I used to stand this way, but their
Okay.
hips are forward from their feet. So their whole body's like leaned forward when they're
Mm-hmm.
standing, right? You might see this now that I mention it. You
Yeah.
might look around and notice that. They may be hyperextended in their knees. They might
Mm-hmm.
even be hyperextended in their back. Like their lower
Right.
back is in a lot of contraction and actually out of alignment. And that's a
Okay.
form of hypermobility. They're beyond straight,
Okay. I
right?
used to stand like that. I used to stand like back on my legs some type of way. If I'm visualizing it after you said it,
Yeah,
my and sometimes I still do, and I have to catch myself, not because I'm thinking I'm just like, oh, I need to do better posture, but
totally.
sometimes I'm standing back on my legs and my legs are like all
Locked
the way
out.
out here, right?
Yes, yes. So that is a form of hypermobility, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
and that means that if you try to bend forward, you're probably really stiff. I
Right.
was not good at forward bending when I did yoga practice. That
Okay.
was not what I was good at. I was really good at backward bending
Okay.
because my back was already in contraction all the time. So to
Okay.
contract it more, my body was like, yeah, we know how to do that. It's when I
Right.
tried to go forward that it was really tight and hard
Okay.
to go forward, right? So we can be hypermobile, overly flexible in one area, and then very, very tight in another area. So,
Wow.
really, what this modality does and what it did for me to come out of all the pain that I was in is rebalance both sides. And we
Okay.
don't do it through stretching. I was a stretch queen. I stretched all day, every day,
Right,
and I
right.
didn't feel better. I'm sorry to
Okay,
say, it didn't work for me to stretch. Some
right.
people don't have that experience. They stretch and they feel better. But if you're someone out there who feels like stretching is painful and hard and you don't feel
Mhm.
like it gets you the relief that you're looking for, then you
Okay,
probably need a new approach to your muscular system. That's what I
okay.
needed.
I like that because so many times that is what we hear. Stretch, you need to stretch more. You need to, your body is stiff and things like that. So I appreciate you saying that. And with that, I know you talked a little bit about your practice. Is your practice something that can be done virtually or is only physically? I
It's
mean,
in,
in
yeah,
person.
the majority of my clientele base is online. I run two
Okay.
online education programs for somatic movement. One of them is a 6 month program that's a small, like tight knit group of people for 6 months, completely change the trajectory of your life and where your body and your life is going, right?
Okay.
In a half a year period. And then I have another one that's shorter. It's 9 weeks, and it's an introductory course to not only somatic movement but kind of the concept of somatics.
Wow.
And so those two programs I run, I have one-on-one clients online where it's movement only, and then in person, that's where I actually do hands-on facilitation, which is the same principle, except
Okay.
now my hands are there guiding you, and it's almost like a lot of clients say, "Oh, this is like a massage, except I do all the work," meaning meaning you're participating. It's not passive,
Mhm.
right?
Right. You're
Yeah,
not just the person is not just laying there and you're doing this,
right.
but it's more
Yes, you would
um,
be doing all the movement,
actually,
and
an
my hands are
activity.
there. You're like pushing against my hand. So a massage, like someone pushes against you, it's
Oh,
the
okay.
other way in this work. You push against my hands, and then you
Okay.
slowly let go, and my hand follows you so you can experience your muscle relaxing.
Oh, that was a perfect way of describing that. Thank you. That was great.
Yeah.
And then you talked about a retreat. How is
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, so I've been kind of playing with different formats for retreats for the last 2 years. A lot of
Okay.
day retreats, which is like a 6-hour experience, 10 to
Wow.
4. We do 2 somatic workshops, usually with like a lunch and then maybe a sound bath or some kind of like, extra fun thing at the end, right?
Okay.
And then also doing 3-day experiences. And now I'm doing a collaboration with a water release therapist.
Oh, wow.
And water release therapy is wonderful. I absolutely love it. It's a different modality, but fits
Okay.
perfectly with my modality. And we're doing a retreat called Flow Your Soma. That's our
Hmm.
retreat because my brand is Free Your Soma. And then we have
Right.
flow your Soma, where it's in the water, right? After your somatic session with me, you go straight into a water release therapy session. And so
Nice.
that's a 5-day retreat. We're doing our first international one in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, that's going to be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, in February. I'm really
Oh,
excited.
that's
Yeah.
going to be awesome. Congrats to you for that. That sounds so awesome. And before we also talked a little bit about, because I told you I was a birth doula, and you also mentioned that you had some things coming up in that realm as well. I don't know if you can share it or not, or
Sure.
a little
Yeah.
tidbit.
I mean, for me, I actually started my somatic educator training. It was my somatic educator training was 3 years long.
Okay.
And I started it, and then like 3 months in to the 3-year program, I got pregnant.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
Okay.
I actually did, you know, I did a module while I was pregnant, and I
Okay.
also did a module immediately postpartum.
Okay.
And, the rest of the training, I was a new mom. And
Right.
then during that time that I was pregnant, I did an additional yoga training. So I had previously done like a 500-hour training when I was like 22. But then while I was pregnant, I did a 6-month, 200-hour training
Okay.
in mixed
Wow.
styles and restorative yoga. And honestly, it was like me doing a prenatal yoga training because I was pregnant the whole time, right? So
Right.
it just it was like that, except that wasn't the certification was just a 200-hour training, but I got a lot out of that.
Okay.
And so I have a huge passion for offering somatic work and somatic yoga to pregnant women and women postpartum,
Okay.
because I think it's really, really important for us to be supporting women during this really crucial time. Because the
Yes.
more that you support the mama, you support the baby. We tend to focus
Yes.
on the baby, right? But the
Right.
baby needs the mama to survive, and the happiness and the safety of the mother is
Yeah.
crucial to how the infant thrives.
Yes. Yes, it is. How that whole experience is for mama, you know. I would also say that it impacts postpartum depression, or I will just say your postpartum experience,
Yes.
impacts all of
Yes.
that, and how the baby is thriving after that, all of that, experience.
Absolutely. And I think postpartum is way, way beyond the 6 weeks that we divvy it
Yes.
up to be. It's actually more like a 5-year experience, if I'm totally honest, you know?
Right. Right.
Like,
It is.
because I had women, come and do my 6-month program who were like, 2 babies in, you
Mhm.
know, the babies were only like 2 years apart. And they're like,
Right.
I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know.
Right.
My body doesn't feel like my own. My body's totally different than it was 5 years ago before I had children. I
Mhm.
feel disconnected from myself and disconnected from my body, and according to them, they've got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, like, they should be good to
Right.
go. It's like, no, they're still in their postpartum, you know?
Right. I like that you said that. Maybe you'll be the one to rewrite it, to rewrite the postpartum period. I love that. That support is so important. One of the other things you had mentioned, Aimee, on I saw your YouTube and your Facebook, you said everyone, and I may be getting it wrong, everyone has an inner light.
Mm.
What does that mean? Tell me about that.
Think about how you were when you were a little kid. You were curious, you were excited. Every day you wake up, it's like Christmas. You're like, what's going to happen today? Right?
Right.
Little kids are still like that. They wake up and they're like ready to go and see the world and do things. It's remarkable. Even children who've been through, really difficult experiences bounce back because of
Mm-hmm.
that
Okay.
inner light that is part of our nature, right?
Okay.
And then life happens and
Right.
we get layered and layered with stress and
Right.
tension and muscle patterns and contraction and, afraid to be seen, afraid to speak up, afraid to
Right.
go after what we want in life, right?
Right.
We're no longer that little kid who's just happy and go lucky and ready to seize the day and, is shameless about their desire for attention.
Right.
Right? We are
Right.
now contracted and our light
Yes.
gets hidden from even ourselves. We
Wow.
forget we forget this excitement of who we really are. And
Wow.
in the somatic work, there's layers of that tension that you release, and your body starts feeling lighter and more mobile,
Okay.
right? And with guidance and intention over time, I see the light in people reemerge. They
Wow.
get excited about being alive again. They get
Oh,
excited
that's
about being
good.
in their body again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. And as we get ready to close, I will give you the floor to say anything you would like to say, and also where people can find you again.
Well, I think it's so great that you're doing this short, interview style heart to heart inspiration. I think that it's just wonderful. So thank you so much for, inviting me and having this conversation and all the conversations I'm sure you're having with folks, right?
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
I would just love to say to anybody who's listening out there, if you are living with pain in your body that feels insurmountable, you
Mhm.
don't have to go through it alone, and you're not going through it alone. There are so many other people that are they're feeling the same kind of challenge and stress and pain, right? And I didn't come out of these things alone. To
Mhm.
say help, to say I need support is actually a strength. We get trained to think that it's somehow weakness to ask for help, but it's an
Mhm. Yeah.
incredibly powerful thing to say, hey, I don't want to do this alone anymore and I need help,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And when we open ourselves to that, the people who are able to help us, they show up. So
Okay.
whether it's me, whether it's Carla, whether it's someone else out there who has the medicine you need, right? The first step is opening yourself up to
Yeah.
support,
I
right?
like that. Yes. I like that. And as we close, where can we find you? And if there's one teeny bitty exercise that we could do before
Sure.
we go.
Absolutely. Yes. So you can do this one seated, right?
Okay.
And I guess I'll say where you can find me first. freeyoursoma.com. Free Your Soma. It's my brand, it's my business, freeyoursoma.com. Um, that's where you'll find all the information about my programs. It's going to get updated in January, so excuse me if there's not any new dates for things yet. But
Okay.
yeah, but you can join my mailing list and get updates and stuff. And then Instagram is at Aimee Takaya. I have a YouTube channel where you can find some content at Aimee Takaya.
Okay.
And this little movement that we're going to do together now is one of the fundamental movements of this practice. And
Okay.
like I said before, we're going to go into a movement and then really slowly, as slow as you can, we're going to come out of it. Okay. We're going
Okay.
to work with your lower back. So if you're
Mm.
open to it, you can join me, Carla. You can close your
Yes.
eyes, and anyone who's watching can close their eyes and feel the weight of your hips on whatever you're sitting on, your chair, the couch, the bed, whatever it is. And just notice how your hips feel. And then notice how your lower back feels. Does it feel arched? Does it feel kind of
Yes.
flattened out? You feel an arch right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice any tension there?
I do.
You do. Yeah. A little feedback of some holding, some tension, right?
Yes.
We're going to do a very gentle arching of your back. So it could be very micro, especially if you feel like your back is quite arched. It's just going to be a tiny bit more arched for this movement, okay?
Okay.
If you feel any pain with any of these movements, we're going to do this 3 times. You have another chance to do it smaller and more
Mm.
gentle, okay?
Oh,
If you feel discomfort, okay?
okay.
So when you're ready, you're going to inhale and you're going to arch your back. And when you do this, you should feel your body kind of rise up a little bit as you increase the arch of your back. Yes, super, super slow motion come out of the arch. Very slowly come out of the arch. Feel your back get a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And you're just going to look for, where is the end of this movement? Where is it that I'm not arching anymore?
Mm.
And then rest. And just rest there in that stillness for a moment. Very good. And we're going to do that again. And if there was any discomfort, remember, you can make it easier for yourself. You can do this smaller. Inhale, arching your back. Feel your body rise up. There's your back contracting. Super slow motion. Come out of the arch. Take your time. Feel your back get a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And again, you're looking for, where is the end of this movement? Where is it that I can rest? When you find that space, just rest and let go. Beautiful. We're going to do this one more time. When you're ready, inhale and arch your back. Nice. Super slow, slow. coming out. Maybe it's a little easier this third time to go slow. Take your time. And again, look for where is the end of this movement? Where is it that I can rest? Good. And then now sensing into your lower back, notice how your lower back feels. What do you notice, Carla?
It really does feel better. It feel that tension.
Mm,
I can just tell the difference. When I first inhaled, it was pain. It was some pain
mm.
when I was doing that arch, and then really concentrating and resting and concentrating on that and letting it go. That really feels much better.
Yeah, it's
I
immediate.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, your nervous system got it. Great. So
Yeah.
that's the work, right? And then we would work with we'd work with your abdominals next, then we'd work with your shoulders, and we'd work with any muscle in your body that starts talking to you. Because when you open this dialogue, you're like, "Hey body, I'm listening to you now." Your body's
Right.
going to be like, "Oh, really? I have all these places that have been so tight. Let me
Yes.
sing you the song of my people."
Yes. Yes. Oh, it's like free yourself. Free yourself. Okay.
Yeah. So
I
yeah, just notice that. Notice how your back feels.
Yes, I was really holding it, and probably because of the show, and I'm a little bit more tense right now,
Yeah.
but really, that really helped. And that was immediate. Thank you,
Yeah.
Amy. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh,
Thank you. Yeah,
awesome.
it's one of
I
the
hope our
basic most
audience did it too.
yeah.
If
Let us know
anyone
your
in our
results.
audience did it, put a one in the chat. Let us know if you did it. If you didn't do it now, you still can. And if you're looking to connect with Amy, I put her information in there, freeyoursoma.com. And the other one is at Aimee Takaya.
Yep.
Was it just at Aimee Takaya?
It's at Aimee Takaya on Instagram and on YouTube.
Okay.
Those two handles are the same.
All right. I got that in there. Yes, that was awesome. And I hope our audience got a chance to do it. And I put that in there. And thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate you. I hope to connect with you soon. I really like the idea of your virtual trainings, education, and we'll talk soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone, to my channel, Carla's channel, Heart to Heart Inspiration, and also Amy's channel and her work as well. We are all in this together. And like Amy said, you are not alone. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night and happy holidays. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.